Alright, so to get started with Blender, you want to make sure you have your Collada folder with a DAE file that has the same name as the file folder if you have any textures. Remember, without this, you won't have any textures on your house. So when you first open up Blender, you're going to have a cube right here. I tend to delete that right away. And I want to import the house. So I'm going to go to File, Import the Collada file. It's right there on top. I'll need to navigate to my folder. If you can't find yours, click on Home, and then you can find the OneDrive for NEISD. And there's our 3D modeling project folder. If you haven't already, make a bookmark so that you can get back to it really easily. I have one for OneDrive and another one for the project folder. So I can get right in here and get the DAE. You're not going to bring in the folder. You're going to bring in the cube, the actual model right there. So when we import it, it's going to import it right in the center. So that is why we had to center our house so that we can spin this around. Now you'll notice right off the bat that you don't see any textures on it. That's because we have a view that is set to no textures. This is another way to view your house. This is wireframe. Very helpful if you had hundreds of houses in a neighborhood, then you would want to navigate around this way. We're going to go in the opposite direction to the very top, and that is going to show it fully rendered. It may take a second, but those JPEGs that are in that folder will be applied to the different surfaces. Okay, so now we can see that we've got a house. We're going to look at it from different angles. We're going to do that by spinning the house around. Right now we do have one light right there, and we have a camera. And the camera is the view that would be recorded or exported or rendered. So if you press 0 on your number pad, not across the top of the screen of your keyboard, it's going to be only the 0 on the number pad, and that's what we would actually see. You can get a preview render by pressing F12. That's a quick, easy keyboard shortcut way of seeing just what that would look like. So at this resolution, you can see that we have a gray background here. We also can't see the whole house. So I'm going to close this render, and I'm going to make some adjustments here. So let's go down the line. I'm going to just orbit outside of that and zoom out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to first change the background. So this render properties has a lot of different things in it. For now, we're just going to go down to film and make sure the background is transparent, so that when we make PNGs, we won't have that ugly gray background on there. We're also going to go down to World for the World properties, and this is for the lighting. So the strength of the light right now is at 1.0. And you can see you can't really see much detail here in this shadow. So you want to bump up the lighting for the whole world so that there is some amount of detail. You don't want to overdo it. If you have a very light house, this is not going to look very nice. But if you have a very dark house, that's how you could compensate a little bit. So we can see some detail in the shadows. So for this house, it'd be somewhere between the 2 and 3 range. You can go down here, and you can see these are the transform properties. So we have the location and the rotation of the camera. So you can actually move the camera around this way. But what we want to move first is the light. So I can click on it. You can see it's highlighted. Let me zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to just click and drag on these numbers in order to move it. I find this to be the easiest way to put things where you want them very precisely. So you just click on the number and then move your mouse left and right. So you don't want this light too close to the house. It's a point light is the default one that's in there. And you can see now that the front of our house is lit up, but we have some nice shadows to really show how 3D this looks. I'm going to orbit a little bit, and I'm also going to change where the camera is. So rather than move it a little at a time like that, I'm going to position my view to something that is nicer. And I'm going to hold down Control and Alt, and again press the 0 on the number pad, not the one at the top. And it has now moved the camera to this new location. If I select it, you can see how it's pointing at the house from a front view. If you press 0 on your keypad while your mouse is over here, you can go back and look through the camera. So this is the point where I might go and move the camera using these. So I can wiggle these numbers back and forth and just try and fit the house into my view. So I'm still a little bit too close. So I'm going to move the X, but then it's off to the left a little bit. So it really helps if your camera is perfectly lined up on one of those axes. Then you can go left, right, up, down very easily. Here we go. It's about as tight as I can get. Press F12. And I have a nice picture of the house with a transparent background that I can save as a PNG. You can go right here and do Save As and go find your 3D project folder. And this is going to be right here. We can just get another picture. We can also, let's do Blender. Okay, you can see I rendered a video earlier, and we'll just put our houses here. Just make sure you date them because you're going to be making lots of changes. 24/01/23, sorry, 23/01/24, simple house, and put your name on it. Save as image, and now that's ready to put on your website as well.